Hello and welcome back, and that's right, today I want to return to the subject of Plex, the changing equilibrium of that company, the job losses, and ultimately in this video talk about 5 things that they might do, either they have to or potentially do, to turn things around. I did go into a little detail on this in a broader video a couple of weeks ago, and again you can see that there on screen, or this video here discussing those Plex job losses, and that video weighing in at 18 minutes was quite a big one. And in this video I'm just going to specifically talk about the things that they may need to do. But before we go any further, a quick disclaimer off the bat. Number one, we're going to skirt very quickly over the whole job loss thing and things that Plex have said, but I strongly recommend that you check out both that video that I've discussed there and to go to the original article where we go into way more detail about all of the changing tides of Plex. The next thing, none of the things I'm going to talk about now have been directly announced. These are just 5 ways in which I think, at least one of them, Plex I think is going to do in order to change things around in their proposed 18-month turnaround into getting their company into a profitable degree. Now, straight away we can discuss the size of Plex. So at the moment, going by reports that we found online, we can see that Plex is around about 20 million active users. That is from a blog post that they made back in 2021-2022, down that transitional end of year. And alongside that, there's reports that they have around 16 million active users. That is people that are actually using Plex, not necessarily just the server. That can be connected users. They had 16 million active user accounts. Alongside that, they had in 2019 a reported excess of around 100 employees. Now, when they did start letting employees go, around about, they stated 20% of their workforce. That 20% of their workforce, they said, was 37 people from different departments. So using that mathematics, we can go that it is somewhere around the 145 to 150 person kind of workforce there that they had, or at least have at this time of recording. Now, from that, we can look at the pricing structure of Plex, and currently the pricing structure of Plex is $3.99 a month, $31.99 per year, or a lifetime of £94. Now again, that's pounds. If we go for dollars, if we go for euros, it slightly differs. Finally, there was the 50 million investment that they managed to accrue with investors to go in on their business expansion towards rentals, purchases and subscription-based content for their streaming platform, which arguably has not landed. And that is not just me saying that. If you go to the original Verge article, they've got quotes there from the CEO, and they didn't see the ROI on that they were hoping for. So that's really the state of play right now. But as Plex has clearly indicated there, things are not going as smoothly as they would like, and they've got to turn things around. So let's go into the 5 things that I think they are either going to do or going to at least consider to change things around. And once again, remember, none of this has been quoted online. This is not what Plex are saying. It's what I am predicting. At least one of these is going to happen, probably more than one. Now, this is obviously going to be the one that's been discussed the most. I raised it in my previous video and others have mentioned it too. The end of that lifetime pass. And again, whether it is that you've been following this Plex since the beginning and you signed up to when they first rolled out Plex Pass, I think in 2013-14, or you're a recent adopter of it, I'm still surprised even now that they have a lifetime membership pass for all of their features. When you think about any platform that's expanding all the time, remember that 20 million users and 16 million active users, to have a platform that's constantly supported with web-based services and some of that API development and security fixes, they're going to need revenue to do that. So it always surprised me at that scale that they're still continuing lifetime. Now, if you've got it, good for you. I've got a lifetime pass. I'll prove it to you. If I try and click it there, it will not let me go ahead and try to do it again. That Plex pass is restrictive there. So it's not going to allow me to double dip, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to completely retire that lifetime pass. And this kind of leads into the second tier a little bit. But ultimately, I think lifetime and people that have got lifetime passes will get to keep it. But I do think they're going to change what the lifetime pass includes. And more than likely, after a little while, I reckon new features and services will be added on, but just lifetime users may not have access. Again, this is all hypothetical, but I think genuinely, of all the points I'm going to talk about today, the end of the lifetime pass is almost certainly one of the heaviest hitters they're going to have to go for. Feelings are always going to be mixed about the idea of your lifetime pass not being honoured anymore, or the idea that you're going to be paying a subscription just to enjoy your own media. But I think we have to at least acknowledge that Plex has upkeep, and you're going to have to make a choice there between either paying for it yourself on a modest degree or them seeking some of that revenue elsewhere. Which brings me to my next point, which is a complete restructure of the tiers as we know it of Plex. Now, again, Plex Pass is their paid access point there. You don't necessarily need Plex Pass. You can install Plex on most server devices for free. And the majority of client applications that you want to install for your mobile phone, to your PlayStation, to your TV, whatever, the majority of those are free. But another way in which Plex may want to reorganize their organization, as well as start to, create new revenue, would be to readdress the tiers that are optional. And rather than going for a monthly, annual, lifetime, they may go for a bronze, silver, gold approach, with the bronze tier losing out on certain features. Again, we've seen no formal move towards this, but we have seen this adopted by other software platforms that have gone more into a membership and subscription based tier over time. Now, what could that mean? Well, the lowest tier may remain free, but the lowest tier might be ad supported, and that's going to be one that's going to annoy a lot of people that don't want to have a possibly skippable advert before watching their own storage media, or having embedded API adverts on there within their user interface there when they're trying to do other things. Now, of course, that data is going to have to come from somewhere, so it's going to have to ensure at least a modicum of internet connection as well. So having an ad-supported tier, or having the ad-supported tier being completely free to start with, may be one of the ways in which Plex will need to reorganize and get themselves back into the black. And moreover, if you look at the organization into a bronze, silver, gold tier, where do existing lifetime pass members exist? And that's another example of how we might see the grandfathering rule, where users who have got that lifetime subscription will get to keep it, but it will be kind of moved to one side outside of this tier. And how Plex would organize that with new and improving features, as well as things, even basic stuff like hardware encoding, transcoding, or some of the scraping of metadata, would have to be really worked out quite carefully. Now, this is one that I postulated in my previous video, but of all the points I'll talk about today, this is the one I've got the least faith in. And this is to do with the client applications that are used on your mobile device. Again, your console, your tablets, your smart TV, you go any of those devices from your Roku to your Fire TV. Now, all of those devices, some of them, the actual app you download, the client application, has limitations. And if you're a Plex Pass holder, you can download it directly. Or for users that, family members that have got no intention of getting a Plex Pass, but they want access to your NAS server on their iPad or iPhone, they need to pay a $4.99 fee to get that unlocked. So this is something we might see Plex expand, because every time they release a new client app for different client hardware, and as client hardware evolves, that requires more security work, more firmware stability updates, and all of that just expands them thinner and thinner. And as I postulated in my previous video, either they're going to have to trim down the range of client applications they're going to support, or they're going to have to start getting those client applications to start bringing in some money into the old kitty there, when the server devices, once they're set up, see very little periodic change. This next point is a little bit out there, but it's something that Plex may have to consider, and it's something I've addressed before, albeit slightly jokingly, and that is Plex to start releasing their license-enabled hardware. What do I mean by that? Well, you've seen me make videos and jokes about it before. A Plex-based NAS system from them. Ultimately, either a NAS that's got Plex on board, that's got the storage media included. They could cooperate with a brand like WD, or already releasing their own range of My Cloud and My Smart Cloud services that would allow them to have Plex pre-installed with a license included, and that could produce quite good revenue streams for them. Alternatively, they could go down you know, the simple HDMI plug-in route. We've seen Roku do it, we've seen Amazon do it, we've seen a lot of other brands go down that road of releasing their own media application and media server on either server hardware that you buy straight off the shelf or as a client plug-in application. Now again, this is not one of the more likely things, that it would still require a body of investment to get the ball rolling on that. But much like that $50 million investment they got into those streaming expansions, it wouldn't be impossible that people would get behind, certain investors invest and get behind the idea of Plex releasing their own client hardware for users, and that would allow them to have another revenue boost coming in. Again, there is the potential later on for that revenue stream to slowly die down and also commit to more firmware updates, but this could be one of the ways in which Plex could turn things around and again make their way back into the black. Now this last point I would argue is the one that I think would be the most desperate of the 5 if Plex went down this route, because it would kind of undermine a lot of the main reasons a lot of users chose Plex, and that would be to partner with third-party cloud storage providers. Now yes, Plex has an element of internet and remote level connectivity in order for verification and with updates and certain services. But if we look back to 2016 to about 2018, thanks to Wikipedia here, you're able to see that there was their partnership with some cloud services in order for you to run your Plex media server from the cloud. You didn't need to have a NAS. You were able to play it from there, and it did have an additional surcharge in order to do that, but it gave way very quickly to users, you know, and targeted criticism by certain vendors that it was being used to stream pirated content even more easily. That was why eventually it was discontinued in 2018. Now, what I'm discussing here isn't so much like this or even this, with just Plex partnering with those streaming services to allow you to have a Plex server. But if they saw, or at least seeked out investment from those large heavy-hitting streaming platforms to make some integrated tools so people will be able to take care of their own media and those streaming services, on the face of it, that would sound pretty darn good. It will allow you to once again have a singular access point where you can access your streaming platforms and access your media you own. However, it wouldn't work out that way, and there would certainly be restrictions or limitations brought into that model. Now, that's actually possible in a number of other vendors, including Plex as well, for certain plugins and add-ons that allow you to create a single user interface and then plug in all your streaming services already. So this kind of methodology and means to enjoy and imbibe your media already exists, so you wouldn't really see any new advantages if Plex did seek investment from existing third-party streaming platforms. But the minute they would go down that road, it would ultimately, for me, undermine what Plex really is. But when it comes to investment, and particularly in this sector, when we were already talking earlier on about the streaming services no longer pushing up, but pushing down into these ad-supported tiers, integration of these third-party streaming multimedia services into Plex, for me, would signal a death nail in a way that none of the other 5 points I've touched about would signify. But those have been 5 things that I think Plex may or may not do in order to turn things around. Some real pie-in-the-sky stuff, but others I think have got serious grounding there. Can you think of anything I've missed here, or maybe moves that Plex could stand to make in order to stay afloat and be just as feature-rich as it always has been? Let me know in the comments. If I see more on this, we might put together a top 10 and put it into an article there. But apart from this, thank you so much for watching. Again, I recommend you check out that video and article from before. And apart from that, have yourselves a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.